When we drew on the board, we would draw light lines that were easily erased called construction lines or projection lines. AutoCAD has an object type that will help you do this, and it works in a very similar way. You can always use a regular line, but there are tools that are meant to be used in this way. These commands are construction lines and raise. They both work the same way, with slight differences between them. They draw a line with a length equal to infinity. That means it extends forever, essentially. A construction line extends in both directions to infinity. A ray has a starting point and extends to infinity from that point. Again, the definition of what a ray is in geometry and mathematics. Both of these commands are found in the Home tab on your ribbon, in the Draw panel, and they're found right here. This is the ray. As you can see, it has a start point and goes on to infinity. And this is a construction line. Both of them work essentially the same way. So let's open up the construction lines file in Chapter 3. Here we have a drawing that's already started. Your basic orthogonal projection view. Here's the front, here's the side. We don't have a top view yet. But we're going to use our construction lines and rays to help us finish drawing this. You can use a construction line or a ray. Either one will work for most cases. But sometimes a construction line gives you what you need because it has direction in both, directions, or a ray only goes one way. You might find rays easier to work with because they tend to have less screen clutter, unless you need the lines, of course, to go in both directions. So you can start the construction line coming up to the ribbon and clicking here. Now I'll show you how to use it. You can just pick any point, just like you would when you regularly draw a line. And then you can rotate around, or you can pick a point. We turn off ortho. So as you can see, I have this starting point, my first point that I picked, and then the construction line is drawn from there to wherever else I define as my second point. I can match this angle, I can come to a point here, I can come straight across, etc. So I'm going to click here. And a construction line keeps going, which is really cool, because then I can draw multiple construction lines from the same point. And in this case, that's a good idea, because I need to draw this line all the way across here for my right side view, but I also need the angle for that line in my top view. So I'm going to turn on my ortho command by pressing F8 and click. Now when you're done, press enter. We have a couple of layers here: center, construction, dimension, hidden line, ray, text, etc. Now these I drew on the ray layer. Now I can change that. I can go to construction for my layer. And a lot of times I will create a construction line layer and set it to no plot. That way I can keep them in there while I'm developing my design and use them later on. I can freeze the layer, turn them off if they get in the way, or even if I leave them on, they're not going to print. So that works out quite well for me. Well, now let me show you how to use the ray command. It works exactly the same way. I pick my starting point, and then I pick my direction. I can go up, I can go to the right. If I press F8, you can see it spins all the way around. Just escape when you're done. So when I zoom out, pan side to side, top to bottom, you can see it goes on forever and ever in either direction. If I do a zoom extents though, it only brings me back to my real lines. It won't zoom out to infinity. That's really nice. If I drew a line or a polyline or anything else that was about this long, I would have to zoom extents all the way to, the extent of the line. If I zoom out really far and pan down here, let me show you. If I do a zoom extents now, you see, I get this line. Well, I don't want that to happen when I'm drawing. I want to keep it right where I am. Now there are keyboard commands for these commands, obviously. X line is your construction line. Construction lines and rays work just like a regular command. I can draw it from point to point with specific distances, or I can draw it at specific angles. Now, the distances are kind of weird because both of these lines go to infinity. But on my construction lines, I can pick a point and I can tell it to go so far. However, it still goes in both directions. Now, when you grip edit a construction line, you'll have 3 points, a midpoint and then 2 endpoints, and they work just like regular grips. Now, a ray is a little bit different. It has only 2 points, and when I pick one, I can rotate about that first line. If I pick the second one, I'm moving it. Okay, well, let's finish this drawing. Now, one problem with construction lines, as you can see here, it makes it go all the way across. The nice thing about the rays, it stops right here and goes on. There's less to have to deal with. So you can use either one. It's up to you. If you type in the word ray, that will give you the ray command. Now I'm just drawing regular construction lines and rays just like you would on a drafting board. Now you can see here with the ray command, I'm creating the majority of my line work. Just some simple clicks with my ortho on, I can make most of my drawing. Now, since these are AutoCAD objects, I can trim them. So let's do that. I'm going to select all these here with my crossing window, press enter, and another crossing window, and I have the majority of my top view with the exception of this little cutout. Now I can erase these. I want to trim these. And look at that. That's drafting with AutoCAD. Now the nice thing about construction lines and rays is that once you trim them, they become lines. So now they are a line. I can match my properties now. So I can put everything on the proper layer. And that's pretty cool. So let's finish up here. I have a little cutout here. See this dashed line? And that's a center line. So this is a circle. And it's coming from right here. So now with my construction lines, I know where that circle is going to go. I know how deep it is. I know where my center is. So I can match these lines here and this one here. And now I'm going to draw a circle with this intersection point. Draw it to here. And now with my ray command, I'm going to pick here, pick there, and I'm going to finish up drawing my front view. Now let's do some trimming. Clean up this ray here. And to match properties, there's my cutout. And I need to trim it over here on my right side view. Again, match my properties. And it's cleanup time. I don't need these construction lines anymore. I can clean this up a bit. And there you go. I didn't have any dimensions. I don't know what any of them are, but I had enough information where I could use drafting techniques and the construction and ray commands in AutoCAD to create the rest of my drawing. Now all I'll have to do is dimension this widget here, and it can be fabricated.